Hello, I'm filmmaker Archie Wright.
And I'm ball painter Tim Baker.
And
this is the Shrove Tide Podcast.
They all play hard, they all play well, but there's always stories to be told. That is why I have the great honor to say, Archie Wright and Tim Baker, are you ready for the stories? Who will the guest be today? When the ball is robbed in red, white and blue, and the Englishman tries his best, the players get stories, which is why we are here. Archie Wright and Tim Baker. Who is the guest today?
So you two are big Shrove Tiders.
Was.
Yeah.
Days have gone, Archie. Yeah.
Well, I was wondering, how long did you play with each other in the game?
40, 45 years.
Yeah, 40, 45.
Roughly.
Yeah.
So did you ever have any arguments when playing?
With Dougie or with the uppers?
Oh, you two, did you have any arguments?
Never.
Nah.
Only once. Yeah, well, that'll come, no doubt. But yeah, no, we were pretty tight, weren't we?
Yeah, I would say
There was a group of us, and we played for each other and we stuck together, really.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, because I'm slightly older than you, Archie, I can remember watching these pair in the river, and they were really, really formidable players. I mean, they were fearless. You guys, what do you think in those days when you were playing so hard, and certainly, Mark, when you goaled your own ball and stuff like that, what do you think's changed in the modern game, you pair, today to what it was like when you pair played it back in the 70s and 80s?
I think it's still as hard, probably harder.
Right.
Purely on the numbers.
Yeah.
The numbers have got bigger.
Is that numbers of players or number of spectators or both?
Both. The number of players. I mean, I've never seen as many in the river these days as when we was playing in the 80s. But yeah, it's just numbers. I don't think anybody's any bigger or better. It's just pure numbers.
Pure numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, because we had more freedom, I suppose, to do what we wanted to do, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like I say, it was just as tough as it is today.
I mean, in our day, in the river, when there was a lot of people in there, you probably had 30 people.
Yeah.
Right.
And then when it got down to the nitty gritty, you probably have a nucleus of 10.
Do you find it doesn't go in the river as much nowadays?
Yeah. And I think that's purely because it's a disadvantage to us now.
Doesn't stop in the river, does it?
Whereas in the 80s,
No.
it used to be an advantage. Nowadays, it's a disadvantage.
Right.
Yeah.
Because so many players go in, so it's you can't get it moving.
That's right. Yeah.
And I think as well with the size of how it's getting, it's because of social media, isn't it? And
Doesn't help.
No.
It's a victim of its own success.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
You see, when I was younger, they started making videos of it, didn't they? And filming it and getting it here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah.
And before you knew it, film crews were coming from here, there, and everywhere. And
It's had a lot of TV. It's had a
Yeah.
lot of TV exposure, and a lot of films have been made, which some ain't. It ain't a bad thing, but
just makes it popular, doesn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, and then I can remember when it was advertised as Ashford Beer Festival. And coaches were coming from Derby, and there was mayhem in the town, but that's how it sort of was marketed externally.
Yeah.
And it's caused a problem.
Now, one of my greatest memories of Shrove Tide, and incidentally, Mark, yours was the first ball I ever saw actually go.
Oh, really?
Yeah. One of my best memories of Shrove Tide involved you pair. I'm going to take you back to 1987 to Shrove Tuesday, and the ball came out the culvert in this gentleman's hands. The three of them made over the wreck, and we thought, hey, let's get down to Clifton pretty contact.
Paul Lane, yeah.
Can you pick up that story, what happened then, and be truthful?
Right.
Start with how it started, eh?
We'll start with how it started.
Yeah.
For some unknown reason, every year at the top of the culvert, the ball always landed in my arms. So I said to Dougie and Kevin, right, this year, because we've never planned anything, I said, this year, if it happens again, I'm going to run down the culvert, struck the ball with the jumper, just before the bend, because I don't know if you've ever been down the culvert.
Yeah.
It bends a little bit, and then you can see light.
Right.
Just before the bend, so it was still dark, I stopped, ran on the spot, and just put my arms out. So if anybody touched me, they touched my arms on the ball, because it's obviously, as soon as you touch a ball, it puts straight away.
Right.
So I did that. Everybody ran past me.
We luckily found you.
And I waited 5 minutes until there were just kids coming past. Then I turned around and ran back. I was praying that these two were waiting for me because I never had been away with the ball like this on my own. And got to the exit and they were there waiting for me. So then,
yeah, well, we pulled each other up the wall. And
I remember.
yeah, ended up, past bandstand way, gasping for air, might I, because we weren't athletic.
we've been playing in the river for
Yeah, and you were frozen, and it was tough running. You were running on stumps, really, with energy. And then straight up Wall Lane.
Yeah, and it wasn't planned.
No.
Out of nowhere, an XR2 pulled up.
I was top of the cattle market.
Yeah, and we decided to jump in it. Bad move. We've got
Paul Armstrong.
Paul Armstrong were there, plus press reporter from National Telegraph. But in the situation you're in, it's panic mode. You just want to get away.
Yeah.
You'll do anything to get away.
You think the whole town is looking at you, although there's nobody there.
We dived in and off we went. It was a bad decision. And unfortunately, Ramsey took the brunt for it, and it wasn't really Ramsey's fault.
No, because we went down Mayfield Road, didn't we? And we crossed two rivers. I was older because I wasn't letting go.
Did Kevin play a little less after that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was an incident.
It did him. And it was a shame because Kevin was great.
It was a great
It
play.
would have probably
So I'm going to ask you a question, guys. Probably you, Mark, might answer this more than Doug. If you had got away, this is a tough question because you don't know the answers, but what would you just think what the answer might be? You'd gold one the year previous. Let's just say you, Kevin, and Doug had got down to Clifton legitimately. Who do you think would have golded?
Grimes.
Kevin Grimes. Sorry.
Again, he's done me. No, in fairness, I would have agreed with it.
Yes.
I knew what was coming if it had gone that way.
Grimes was at the top of his.
He was, yeah.
It is playing prowess.
Yeah.
And I carried it over both rivers and I wasn't letting go. But I knew in my heart of hearts, if it got down to it, then I would have to support that choice. Yes.
So, obviously, you've gold a ball, but you haven't. And, do you reckon...
Rub it in again, Harry, yeah. Yeah, go on.
And do you reckon, you could tell us what you thought you could have done to try and goal one?
Not much more. Not much more, because I'm sure we'll discuss one of these particular events where it could have been my day. I've had a couple of chances.
We're just unlucky.
Yeah.
And unlucky, and a couple of things. One thing went against me, and that drove that. Sometimes it's not met your luck. Sometimes luck follows you.
Yes.
If you ask me, yeah, I've had 2 or 3 chances. We've had a couple of draws, but they weren't really anything. But there's been a couple very, very close to it, and that's where you need either the gods to smile or fortune to.
Did you ever almost taste success though?
Yes, twice.
Did you do?
Yeah, that's how I felt.
How do you taste?
Bitter in the end, because my best mate shafted me. But anyway, and that is a good story in fairness.
Yes.
But you know, one thing I can honestly, truthfully say, I always believe playing the game is far more important. You should love playing the game, and a leather or a ball is absolute gravy. That is the icing on the cake. But I wouldn't swap the experiences or things I learned through it and the time together with the people that you're playing with and also against, in fairness,
Yeah.
And I think because it takes 2 teams to have a battle, and we battled, and we had some good opposition, and I can sit in front of with Harry or quite a few of the lads, and we can speak all night long of the things we've done and experienced. I don't think that is the case now so much. You know, I think we were fortuitous.
Yeah, the stories just go on and on.
Yeah.
It's amazing stories.
So,
Funny stories as well.
as a young lad growing up, never been a Trove Tide player, but I think I've done my fair share for Trove Tide over the years. You pair certainly inspired me to watch you play in the river. It was a pleasure to watch you both play Trove Tide when I was a kid. Who do you think inspired you when you were probably 10 or 11 before you started playing the game? Who did you look at to think, you know, wow, I'd love to play Trove Tide like them?
Me, it was my dad.
Right.
I used to go down and watch him and just thought, I want to be like he is. You know,
Did your brother start playing before you, Mark?
No, he played it because he came after me.
After
He
you.
was a late starter, Paul.
Yeah, and I think the stories, the reputation, and you know, going to Green Man as a young kid, you know, and seeing your dad, you know, and Don Lowndes, and I mean, they were mercurial people, and they were rough and tough, you know, as were the upper lads. And that's why I keep looking at the pictures, you know, of Trove Tide. That's why in those days, the river, if you weren't hard, you didn't go in river because it was they didn't tolerate much, did they?
No, I mean, he didn't in our day though, did they?
No,
Nothing's changed.
No, but I suppose that mantle was taken on by what we saw, and
It's a rough, tough game.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't want to get in it, don't do it.
it's not the game.
You know?
And you know, and even like I still flash in my mind, you know, people like Mick Bettridge and Steve Kent and lots of really
Good players.
good players, and they infused you, you know, and I think they had a
And it was the same one for the uppers as well.
yeah, it was, yeah,
Just as many good players as what we did.
yeah.
It was just how it went.
So on the back of them, you're allowed to pick one. Pick a formidable uppard from your day that sticks out in your playing mind.
For different reasons.
For me,
whatever reason.
it'd have to be Mark Ellery.
Sure.
Just because he was big, strong, and a good player.
Yeah, I'd say that's right. The Ellaby boys, Mark particularly. There was a group. There was Geordie and there was the the Maskells. They had quite a lot of their own little 4 or 5 people. They were very formidable.
You can only pick one.
Yeah.
Well, go on, Doug, go on. Don't be greedy.
Well, actually, Joe Moss for me because he was a friend of mine.
Moss is a good player.
And Mossy, I thought, was very underrated, and he ploughed his own furrow, you know, so he didn't sit in camps particularly at all. But he was very aggressive on the ball, long rangy arms. He could run, he could hug, a bit like Nobby Clark. You know, he was a pain in the backside, and he should have had a ball in my eyes at the upper goal. And for me, and I was a friend of his as well. We shot and hunted together as well. But watching him play, and he was a pain. So he sticks out in my mind as well as Mark.
I was just wondering this, Chris, in my head. What do you reckon makes a good Trove Tide or a good Trove Tide player?
Good question. Somebody that plays from the heart. You don't really have to be hard, you know, a fighter if you like. As long as you're playing with your heart and you put everything into it, then you won't go far wrong.
No, and
Obviously, if you're any good at the latter one, I've just said
it helps.
it helps.
Yeah,
But no, you don't have to be a fighter. You just need to play from the heart.
yeah, and people notice. You know, we all notice somebody who is giving their all.
If somebody's standing out,
Yeah,
notice.
you notice. And like I say, it doesn't have to be a hero. It doesn't have to be Andy. Like I say, it helps if he is because he can look after himself. And when it gets down to the nitty gritty, sometimes you have to be a bit physical or be with people that can be. But no, playing from the heart, I think, and seeing somebody loving playing the game.
Yeah.
That to me is the fundamental thing that I think we seem to have lost. It's all about the ball. It's all about that. That's how I see it. The camaraderie, the experiences, the fun. Fun is the bit that us playing for 20, 30 years, it was fun.
I think Trove Tide in the years I've followed it since the mid-70s, it's kind of evolved now from in my youth watching it when you were playing to it was more of a game then. Now it seems to be a lot more competitive, like a sport almost.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah,
or would you disagree?
yeah. I mean, it started in our era really. That it was more. It's like let's go back to the 50s, 60s. It was an individuals game, and then when you moved into the 70s, 80s, it started to come into a team thing. Not so much a mass team like I don't know, 6 or 7. Like we had 6 or 7 players who played together. Some of the uppers had 6 or 7 players played together. Now it's just one team, one mass team against another mass team.
And very,
well, that's a good thing.
And loads of spectators as well.
Far too many. They have. It's so difficult, is it? You know, through again the formative years where the crowd started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You know,
But you see, nowadays, because it's so big, to be outstanding as an individual, you've got to be some player.
Yeah, and it's almost becoming impossible. Thus, you know, the style of the game today, where it's big hugs, the ball's not very often seen, and it's mauled, from down. As a spectacle, it isn't brilliant, obviously.
And you haven't got the stories nowadays.
No.
And some of the stories we've got, some fantastic stories, and I just don't think you recreate them stories.
And that's why I feel we were so lucky to.
Well, this is one of the reasons why Archie here decided to do this podcast, is to interview, vintage players, no disrespect, who have got these stories, because it's a way of preserving them, isn't it, Archie? It's keeping them around forever, that people can come on and just talk about those things. So before Archie asks you a question, I've got one for you, Mark. And this is always something I've always thought about, and I've never, in all the years I've known you, ever asked you or Paul this question.
It's scary.
No, don't worry. You're perfectly safe. Your dad was a formidable player. I think everybody knows that. And in the 1950s, he goaled in 48, didn't he?
Yeah.
And in the 1950s, people like Don Lowes, John Mansfield, one or two others were goaling more than one ball. I often wondered why your dad didn't goal more than one, considering he was quite a powerhouse of a player. Was he generous, or did he just not want anymore?
I don't think that. I think the way my dad used to think, he shouldn't want more ball.
Really?
Yeah, because there's so few balls to go round. There's so many people after balls. Why on earth would you want two balls?
You've had
Darren said the same thing.
You've had the Everest.
Darren said the opposite, didn't he?
Well, he wants one himself, but he did say that people today won't goal more than one, didn't he? That's what he said. He said
So
that people.
See, I don't agree with it. I think that if you've goaled a ball, you've achieved your goal.
The pinnacle.
And to want another one, to take that away from somebody else that will miss out, is sacrilege.
And especially friends and people you play with that you'd love to see. You want to help them to achieve the same accolade.
Even in our era, when balls were going down to Clifton quite frequently, as you well know.
I do. Remember it well.
Even some of our lads missed out on the balls. Your Nick Adamses, your Pete Manor, your Doug Marrons, your Kev Grimes. Why take that away from them?
I agree.
It's just greed.
Yeah, and I think that again, it's like giving back again. You're giving back to the people that have helped you. There's one thing we've both done, that we've helped every ball in the last 40 odd years that's gone down to Clifton. We've been involved with goaling it for that person at the end.
I could have had another ball. I was offered another ball.
Yeah.
The green man. I won't name it in the X, it's not right, but I turned it down.
Right.
And if I'd have said yes at the time, they'd do with me.
Yeah.
But I didn't want it.
You mean a ball to goal or a ball just to keep?
No, they actually said to me that I got the ball.
Oh, I know who you mean.
I remember it well.
I remember it well. I was
It's
there.
yours.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hands on it.
It was. I remember it well. It was 1989, and that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I said straight away,
You did.
I do not want
I was there.
a second one.
Yeah. And Paul thinks the same, your brother, doesn't he? He's a believer in.
Why would you?
No, I witnessed it. I was there.
Help people that have helped you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's wonderful way of thinking.
So if you had the opportunity to go on another one to help the Downers win, do you reckon you'd do it, or would you say,
Yeah.
no, I'll just pass it?
Yes, you would.
Of course we would.
The only scenario that
That's a good enough.
If you were there on your own and nobody was there.
the only scenario, if it came, was if I was there on my own and 2 or 3 others turned up, I'd know it. But other than that, I'd be stood at that ball, at that plinth, waiting for some
Hopefully, one of the
decent
summers. Yeah.
player to turn up.
I remember a key up player back in the 70s took a ball to Sturston and waited. There was snow on the ground, and he waited for other uppers to come to give it to somebody else. And they didn't. So after a while, they thought, "Oh, just goal it then," and he goaled his second one that way. But he did wait for somebody else to come in first.
There are times when Tempest Fugit, but you hope some of your friends who are a good player would come along.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a frightening.
So I'm going to ask you both. I remember this really well. I'm sure you both do. Can you remember when the ball was went missing one year when those Scottish players came? What was all that about?
Well, chance, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was in the dark. It must have been on Mayfield Road, Harry.
It just shows you that it doesn't matter who you are, where you're
It
from,
can just come to you.
anyone can get away.
Yeah.
But it bobbled to them on Mayfield Road because it was dark. And there was 3 or 4 of them, I think, and they picked it up and didn't know what the hell to do with it because they were scared, and they just walked off, and they went up obviously to St Oswald's Hospital and locked themselves in an ambulance
Wow.
because they feared the town would obviously tear them from limb to limb.
And you didn't know what to do with that,
They had no idea, and even the police said we'd better get you out of town at the time. And yes, so a fluke, but they must have been petrified.
Do you think that ball would have gone down if it hadn't been spirited away by these Scottish fellas?
You can never tell. It was heading that way, but how many times has it gone whoosh in the dark? Uppers always been brilliant at smuggling stuff at dark, better than us, if I had to be honest. Because they're pretty well organised, but it could have done. But, there by the grace of God, it didn't.
And how do you two get involved in Shrovetide nowadays, being older?
No, I don't.
We don't.
I sort of retired from playing. Well, do you ever retire? I mean, I'll be going this year, and if an upper runs past me, I'm sure.
Of course, you can't help
I
it.
might run onto the end of the right hand, but I'm too old now. But you sort of have to suck it. I think I was 55 when I packed up, and I was getting to the stage where I was getting on the ball, and by the time I got on it, I wanted to get off it. Then you realise you're too old. Then, when I stopped playing, I took on the filming side of things, did that for 4 or 5 years, just to try and take my mind away from
Not playing.
because it's a horrendous thing to go through.
Yeah.
And then obviously I packed up filming, and now I just have to go down and watch. And
I'm a terrible watcher in sport in general, any sport I've ever done, if I'm an injured or Shrovetide. Watching is the worst thing. I'd rather.
Does that mean you want to get it in? Does it?
Yeah, and you also know you can't do what you can
age
do.
is a leveller.
In fact, the person that sort of ended my playing career was Tim Fern. Me and him, we didn't get so much in the middle, but we could see where it was going, and we'd still run and try and leg them up and cat and ball did come to us, But you realise, the youth of the lads today who were in their 20s, 30s, you physically can't do what you did, and that's unfortunately that's Father Time.
So, one off.
I was just wondering, how do you come up with the decision to, like just to say next year I'm not going to play? How do you come with that decision? How does it feel when you actually do it?
Unfortunately, we don't make that decision.
No.
Our age
Father Time does.
tells us.
We played a long time, and don't get me wrong, there are some players, Gerald, who used to have the scarf,
Yes.
he was still doing it in his 70s, and he could have a shove and a push, and I admired that actually, and I actually feel,
You can still do that.
yeah, but you don't feel,
That's not playing.
that's not playing, no, and then you've had your time, and you have to move over, and it's a difficult.
Do you have any memories then, this is casting your minds back, think back to the very first game you can actually say you played? I don't mean just having a bit of a shove on the periphery, but when you really got into it and maybe went in and dragged your hands over the ball to get some paint under nick fingernails, everybody says that they did. Can you ever remember those games that you first played? Does anything stick in your mind about that?
Well, I think my first proper full stroke time, that was 15.
Right.
And I was getting stuck in. And I remember that one. Because I had some good years, at 16, 17 and 18 were probably my best years. And then not long after that, I went to roll it. So, but I don't think I think at 14, you're going in and you're scratching the ball, you're coming out, you're showing your mates, you've got paint on your nails. 15, you're there, you're ready, and you can go.
So following on that, because we'll ask you this because you've done it, did you ever in your heart know undoubtedly that you would goal the ball?
No.
You didn't? Darren said he did, didn't he? He
Well,
knew he would.
I don't think anybody can say that.
Right.
Because the game's so unpredictable. Yeah. There's lots and lots of good players that haven't goal the ball. You can't categorically say that you're going to goal the ball.
No.
You know, you play as hard as you can to goal the ball, but you can never ever say.
And I think that's the determining factor again, Tim. Loving playing the game, you will rise to the top by showing what you're doing.
Do you think, Doug, that luck has a lot to do with it?
Yeah, look, you know as well as me, Tim, whose goal balls are into. If your name's on it sometimes, it just seems to bloody happen.
Right.
You know, I mean, a ball rolls to you, you know, somebody breaks with it, you know, and you end up with it in your hand. And, you know, if you're in the right...
It's all luck.
Yeah, a lot of it is.
It's, you know, it's when the breaks come, they're all lucks.
Yeah.
It's all lucky.
And you hope, though, when the ball breaks or the
The
run...
game's so hard and tough and unpredictable.
Yeah.
You can't categorically stand there and say, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that.
But that passion, though, never dies from any of us.
No. That's the thing that keeps you smiling. And
It's a game, for me anyway, it's a game that never stops giving.
No.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's given me a lot in my life, in a different level to you guys, but in a different way, but it has.
And it's moved on. The enjoyment now of seeing your old combatants, you know, the people that you really went tooth and nail against, who, you know, we weren't the most popular of people, still aren't, probably. But it's great to catch up and shake hands and have a beer.
You respect the.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the upwards are fully and utterly respected. You know,
Yeah.
good, hard players.
Yeah.
And they come up against us, good, hard players.
Yeah.
And that's the game.
If I close my eyes now, I can go back to Ash Wednesday 1986 when you goaled this ball, and I can see you goaling it. I can see you walking back with it. And I know they held you up outside the Green Man for some pictures. Mm. How did you feel, Mark, when you watched your own son come back in that way?
Oh,
that's a hard one. Yeah.
Melting, didn't it?
Yeah.
It must have been a wonderful experience to know you did it and then your lads did
it. It's a completely different feeling to me goaling my ball to watching one of your kids goal their ball.
Did you see him goal it?
I almost would say it's as good.
Oh, really?
If not, I can't say it's better because nothing's better than bowling this, but it's right up there with it.
Up there with it.
Yeah. There was a bit of disbelief. I can remember thinking, it was like we couldn't believe it, you know.
Did you see the ball being goaled?
I didn't know.
Mate, I was filming at the time, and I had a right dilemma because I was taken by surprise because I was inside the bowl with my camera, ready to film. I hadn't got a clue who was bowling it. I had nothing to do with it whatsoever. No. I was making a draw in the field at the back. I'm there with my camera poised, thinking, who's it going to be? Next minute, Nathan's going to come up. And I was like, oh my God, what do I do?
Camera?
Do I film it or do I get in and help him? I thought, well, me getting in and helping would be nice. Don't get me wrong, I loved it. But it ain't going to get him to watch it years.
No, you can film it, yeah.
So I had to stand there with the camera and film it. And that's what I did.
Brilliant.
But yeah, the feeling. Amazing. You know, tears. Tears. I'm not a tearful person.
I didn't think you were, mate.
I'm not. And tears were rolling in.
Very nice.
It was a good night as well, yeah.
And to finish off, I was just wondering, do you have any, well, you do have stories, but what I'm asking is, do you have any funny stories that really sticks out?
Shitloads of them.
Go for it. Let's have one.
Well, you mentioned it. The one that sticks out for me is this particular evening where the Bulls had a good day's play and it was all around town, ended up on Bellevue Road, and David Owens was obviously a very good friend of mine and Harry's, and obviously one of the best runners we've ever had. Rue was hopping over fields and hedges upon Bellevue Road and stumbled across the ball. And eventually, when he was hiding underneath and trying to, there was everybody around him. He said it was quite unnerving. But eventually ran it down to Clifton. And he went to our friend who is no longer with us, Nobby Clark's house and lifted the dustbin lid up and put the ball in and came and got me. Because Rue had run it down, hoping that I might score it. And anyway, he went into the mill. I said, "Get Harry." So Harry came and Tip and and Nobby, sorry.
Me and Nobby was stood the goal.
Yeah.
And Rue come into us and said, "Got the ball. It's at Nobby's house in the dustbin."
And I was there.
Are you serious? He went, "Yeah."
I kept looking at it, you don't like this one.
I said to Nobby, I says, "Right, me and you'll shoot off. Just fade away into the darkness." And off I went. And I remember it's plain as day. Nobby goes up to his bed, opens his bed up, looks inside, slams the lid down, goes, "It's in there."
You think everybody can see it, so, like a beam of light.
Yeah.
He pulls it out and he goes into his house. Denise makes a drink, hot drink. Rory's chucking his vat on the table. And I says to him, "Right, we better make a move." So we dropped out over his edge, go back onto the trail.
Mm-hmm.
Starts going down the trail, as was, I don't know, 400 yards away from the mill. Somebody opened the gate at the top, and there's a car driving down. Lit us up like a, but it did us a favour because there's about 15 upwards walking up. Obviously, the lights had dazzled them.
Yeah.
So we literally dived into a load of horse shit. There's a great big pile of horse shit. We dived into this horse shit and pulled this horse shit all over us. We were facing each other, hiding in this horse shit. These lads have got the car to turn, to fan its headlights across the field to see if they can see anybody with the ball.
Yeah.
While they're doing that, they're stood on top of this pile of horse shit. We're looking at each other. Nobby's looking at me, and all I could see was Nobby's face, and he's like, So obviously it was really quiet. Every time they were smoking, every time they took a drag of the fire, it lit us up. I thought it was burning shit here.
Literally.
Anyway, the call went, they stumbled away. So I says to Clark, "Right, let's make a move." So I threw him the ball. I says, "Right, you go with it because you're a bit more a bit swifter than me on the running side of things." I says, "Anybody comes, I'll bang them." So he sets off. Gets to the corner on the bend. Somebody come out of the bushes and up at us. I just grabbed him and leveled him. And nothing. Carried on. Anyway, so he drops in the river. He's walking down the river with the ball. I dropped in behind him, probably 100 yards behind him. He's walking down there. Everybody's cheering, people jumping in. So they're all shouting, "Who's having it? Who's having it?" So Nobby shouts, "Haircut," says it's his. Well, obviously, you know my feelings on I've just said. I'm shouting at the back, going mad. He's laughing, shouting, "No, Haircut says he's having it." Everybody's going mad. You can hear everybody piling in, going absolutely mad. I can't believe they called it.
My mate Tim Fern. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah.
Bill, what about you?
What?
Have you got anything for us?
That one's scarred me for life.
Right.
I think the Culvit one and that one are two really good. We have lots of them. Some are not repeatable. Some are, I think they're two good ones. We've just got so many. But,
There's loads.
but I think those two stick in our minds.
So, you've got Ashbourne watching you. Is there anything you want to both look into that camera and say about the future for Overtime?
I think the future's good. I think it's in good hands, and I just hope that keep it going like it should be.
Yeah, and I think if the lads and the youngsters love playing the game, I think they'll take care of
And
itself.
respect
the game, and come here and listen to the stories and the songs and the names. Because while we say those names, their lives will live on.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Play it hard, play it good, and love playing. The rest will take care of itself.
Yeah, such a lot.
Thank you, Haji.
Yeah, such a lot
Jimmy?
of people saying about God, people going in gardens and doing this and doing that. You've got to realise when you've got that ball, you'll do absolutely anything.
Can you show your balls to the camera, Mark?
Which one?
That one, mate. It's not X-rated.
That's Prince Charles, and that's my rugby symbol, if you like. Obviously the rugby club, and then that's the family that's got it. And then obviously at the bottom is the Union Jack.
Right, thank you guys for watching this, and we'll see you in the next podcast.
See ya.
There's a town still plays this glorious game, though 'tis but a little spot, and year by year the contest fought from the field that's called Shawcroft. Then friend meets friend in friendly strife, the leather fort again, and they play the game right manfully in snow, sunshine,